Welcome back to Getting Work. It's your boy Jared. Hanging out here with my boy Ian. How's it going, man?
Hey, doing good. How about you, man?
Doing all right. It's Friday. That's all I can say.
Yes, thank goodness. It was a long week, so yeah. It's the
definitely.
weekend. Yes.
Yes. So with trying to think. So we got a chance to play a little Dark Age last night, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we got a thing that happened
We'll
this
definitely
week.
be doing that more too.
Yeah, absolutely. But we had a little wrestling event that happened this week. One little AEW Dynamite, and I will say it was a pretty damn good one.
It was. It really was. I ended up not seeing it like I usually do. I usually watch the replay Thursday, and so I didn't get to see it live Wednesday, and I Thursday was just kind of a wash, and I was turned around. So I ended up seeing it today, and yeah, it was a lot better than last week. Definitely better than last week. One of the better shows overall, but I mean,
yeah, we didn't even get around to reviewing last week's because it wasn't. And it's weird because I had to check the numbers for this week because last week, with Tyson and everything, it wasn't terrible, but, being the first week also running unopposed against NXT,
right.
they were able to come in. I think the final count was around 1.2 million views, where they're usually sitting at about around 750, give or take, and so all in all, I think they were able to take advantage of it. But I would say that this week should have been on last week, because if you want to take advantage of that first night,
Right.
like this was the set of matches to show. This was the interviews, the just
Everything,
all
the backstage stuff,
Yeah.
the mocks, and the elite, like all of that was. Yeah, I agree, because you would have gotten introduced to a little bit of everybody, especially the big hitters.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And a lot of good story arcs were kind of put forth this week, and I think that all in all, I think it did a good job of covering a lot of the bases. So yeah, as far as like a introductory episode to bring people in and pull them in and say, oh, wait a minute, okay, this is worth checking out the following week. This is worth checking.
Yeah, no, completely.
This was the one to do it.
Well, they said, I just did a quick look. It looked like 1.1 million this week, at least for the main event.
Okay.
So,
we figured there'd be some drop off.
Of course.
But I figure, okay, so they're able to hold on to some people. Well, hopefully out of that 1.1.
They were still over a million. So, I mean, that's still
especially
300,000 more.
Mm-hmm. And I think especially right now in today's wrestling, especially for a promotion like this, it's awesome that, they've got, they had the TNT, contract and everything like that. That definitely helps, but there's still definitely a small scale outfit, comparatively, and to be able to pull in a million, even if they're unopposed, because I mean, you could kind of take a look at the numbers comparing, say, like Raw and SmackDown and everything else. But I think they're typically running unopposed. WWE hasn't really run any kind of shows really truly opposed since the 2000s. Yeah. And even then, really, it was more like the mid 90s where it was really like that that 83 week run where WCW was beating WWE in the ratings and the viewers and everything else. And so that's
when the wars were still going on, the true Monday Night Wars.
Yeah. So that was, WWE's had a pretty decent run where they haven't had to worry about any of this, and so now.
It's been showing for probably the last 8 years. You
Give or
say it that
take.
way. It's
No,
probably been, yeah.
it's yeah.
It's starting to show. I mean, competition makes us all better. That
Mm-hmm.
it really
Yep.
does. So
Yep.
yeah, all of the things that are wrong with WWE right now, it's just due to lack of competition. So it's
Yep.
very good to have AEW around.
Um, with that, let's hop into the card here. Tonight started hot. Again,
Yeah.
and talk about, kind of talk about the overall feel, the overall energy for tonight. It started with match one, Hangman Page versus Absolute Ricky Starks. These are two young studs, exceptional workers in the ring, exceptional performers, and this match pretty much just kicked it off high octane from the start. And I'd heard some word that actually Stark. So part of the things that was happening during the match was Starks was showing an ankle injury, and I'd read some stuff actually that come to find out that he legitimately tweaked his ankle in one of the moves.
Oh, wow.
And so that wasn't him selling. That wasn't like quite him selling it. That was him just toughing through it. And
I will say, as somebody who used to get ankle injuries, if I looked at my ankles wrong, you can kind of tell the difference. People that haven't hurt their ankle and they have, it's perfectly fine and they're trying to play it, aren't consistent about it. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. At some point, they put their foot down, take a normal step, just out of sheer habit. Even if you're trying to put it on, at no point did he ever do that. Especially later on in the evening, or when he came out later, he hobbled again. And so there were times.
Now Starks is one of those guys where I wouldn't put it past him to do that. To turn around and continue selling the injury even later after the road, because that's becoming a lost art. But my understanding is that there was I'm trying to find the specifics. There was just sort of an awkward landing that happened in a move, and so Stark, we're in Page. An awkward landing, though, allowed Hangman to recover and deliver a brainbuster for a close 2 count. And so, Starks landed weird. And then, because then I think that's where it really showed was when Starks was trying to put Hangman into the power bomb. And you could see that he had to actually settle him, had to kind of like reset himself to get it and then put it down. And, with something like that, you can never know. I mean, I think people take for granted like the timing on some of these moves, and so I wasn't quite sure if it was just a matter of what was happening there, or maybe it was did Hangman not get his momentum doing basically doing a crunch if you're the one taking it kind of thing, so that you're working, so then the guy isn't completely just doing the whole thing.
Right.
Basically he's not just pulling the entire dead weight to get you up and then put you down. And so I didn't know if it was something like that, but then now looking back at it, it kind of starts to make sense that
where it all kind of goes through. But no, I always like that when it comes to wrestling in general, the guys that, even if it's not real injury is totally different. But if it's not, 20 minutes later, they don't come running out and are perfectly fine and doing, jumping across the ring and doing moonsaults and stuff like that. If you, again, as somebody who hurt his ankle a lot playing basketball, you hurt your ankle, even if you don't really, really hurt it, it's a little tender. Like you're not really wanting to hop around on it later that evening, especially later. You actually have a better chance in the moment to continue on. As soon as it cools down.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, you're done. So whatever sport you're playing, I mean, I'm sure with football and stuff like that, but basketball for sure. As soon as it cooled down, you're that's not happening.
Oh yeah, you're done you're really done for the night. But basically though, either way. So basically, kudos to Starks. One way or the other. Either A, he legitimately hurt his ankle and powered through the
Right.
rest of this match. And when you see what they did, even stuff where they were doing the stuff on the top rope where they had that avalanche fall away
Yeah.
slam off the top
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So if he's legitimately hurt and powered through that match the way he did, kudos to Starks.
Yeah.
Or if the flip side is true and he was just
It's
doing an
storytelling.
exceptional
Also,
job of kayfabe
either
and
way.
selling it and everything
Yeah.
else, and then also later on to continue it. Kudos either
Sure.
way, man. So it
Absolutely.
only
Yeah.
looks good on Starks with this.
Completely.
Yeah. So if he is legitimately hurt, hopefully it's a minor thing
Yeah.
and he's
Get
able
some
to
ice on it, get it above your head, or above
just
your heart
take
and
off,
stuff like that.
take off of it
Yeah.
and just kind of let it rest and maybe even take a week off, next week or
Yeah.
something, maybe just got some
Promo.
promos, be in the
Promos
background,
and
because
yeah.
it's not like he's not good on the mic either. So,
No. No.
he's,
I was gonna say this match was sort of a futures match in a weird way. Hangman is much closer to the present, I guess, but he's not. He's not the present. Yeah, that's still like the Kennys and people like that. But
sure.
he's there. He's
Yep.
knocking on that door. He's probably one of the next guys. But Starks is right there. I mean, Starks is behind him, but not way behind him.
No.
This could,
And I
in
don't,
some years, this we could look back and this might be a world title match. Honestly,
oh,
you could.
sure.
I could see this being a world title match.
Absolutely.
So.
And I don't know if I don't know if you watch much of NWA Power.
Mm-mm.
It was strictly on YouTube. It was when Billy Corgan basically resurrected the NWA studio style wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like back in the '80s, and they had had a pretty decent roster. Some folks have come over from there. One of those being Ricky Starks.
Got you.
And again, just when he came on, you could it was things stepped up a notch. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things
Yeah.
where you can see,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, pretty good stuff, pretty good stuff, pretty good stuff. Ricky Starks walks out, and it's like, okay, we're at another level. You know what I
Yeah. That
mean?
he's a
It's
star. That's a
exactly,
star.
yeah, that
You're
guy,
different. Yeah.
yeah,
You
that
you
guy's
just
got
know.
it. Yep.
Well, that's like in other sports. I mean, and you see, basketball is probably the easier one to when there's that guy that is just okay. You could be an NBA player. I know
You're
you're in high school, but you're clearly different than these other guys that are running around out there. Uh, it's just a different football. I would think would be the same type of thing. There's some people that just move differently
oh sure,
than yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
and
it's just
it's
there's a speed and an ease about it that just goes. You're like, oh yeah, that is that one. That
well,
one's
you get and I mean, you get the guys that can you get what they how they call it changing gears, where you can change up to that higher gear,
yeah.
either throughout within a game, on a on the basketball floor. I think the one of the better analogies to this, is when you get like for Starks right now, is when you get sort of like that 6 man off the bench who's that spark plug, who's just sort of that energy, just and
Yeah.
it's not like Starks is even necessarily. I don't mean it necessarily in his case is from like this perspective of that he's like a super fast worker or jumps
No,
around and stuff like that. It's just a
there's an ease and a grace to it. It's
yeah, it's
just
just a
a
different
fluidity almost.
yeah. Oh, he's
Yeah.
very. That's the best word for it. He's very fluid, very
Yeah.
fluid, and
Yeah.
so I agree. I think this guy is going to be a star. And Hangman, they're just working him through. They're kind of getting things established and trying to work out the timing to try and find the time to pull the trigger on him. But it's looking like it's starting to go down that road
Well,
because
I'm wondering with him with the pandemic. I mean, everything is pre and post pandemic. So after since things are kind of heading, knock on wood, heading the right direction as far as that goes. I'm starting to think that there are storylines that they scrapped, like we've said in other ones. So the
Mhm.
storylines that they put off, not scraps the wrong word, but put off because they wanted the live
They
crowd,
put
they
on the
wanted that big pop, they
shelf.
wanted,
Yeah.
yeah. I think those are starting to ramp back up. I mean, you can see it throughout this show. You can see it in some other places too as we go through,
Mhm.
um, where stuff is starting to ramp back up. I think that's what's going to happen with Paige. The Dark Order is starting to show up a little bit more. That even though he did answer them and tell them no, they've never exactly gone away. It's sort of been this ongoing thing, So
No,
yeah,
he's become this kind of, again, kind of like oddly enough, another guy who's in it but not in it is Colt Cabana.
right,
Like
yeah,
he's technically not part of the Dark Order,
right,
but he
yeah.
just hangs around them.
Because
And
that was one of the final ones for Brody when Brody was still around.
mhm.
He was trying to prove to him, bring him over
Yeah.
officially to make
Mhm.
him official before he had passed. So I mean, that
Yeah.
was
And they
absolutely.
may
You're
have
right.
just and they may have just kind of quietly say, okay, I mean, you're pretty much, I mean, if you watch Being the Elite, their YouTube show, he's always in the segments with the Dark Order. Pretty ubiquitous now.
Right.
Hangman's hit or miss, but it's not uncommon to see him back there with them. So he
Sure.
has this, he sort of, and it's in a way they're kind of keeping things flexible with him too, because it's like, okay, we're not going to commit to you being part of the Dark Order because there's really no reason to. But at the same time, it gives, and again, I think obviously I mentioned this before, with everything with Brody's death, I think that also sort of put them in a situation where they needed to put one of their bigger names in a spot, and so they kind of elevated his, probably have him a little bit more involved than he would be.
Sure.
Because now he's that obviously, if unofficially or officially, he's their top guy. Like there's nobody else close to Hangman in terms of rankings, in terms of skill, none of that. So,
and I think, but I think that actually worked contrary to what their plans probably initially were. Within a faction, you always sort of have, especially ones that have that many people, it's a little different. But you have your top dog, and then you have the guy that kind of pushes to become that top dog. Again, the one that I always go back to is like the Nation back in the day. You had Farouk, he was the top dog, and you had the weird light skinned guy that was next to him. I forget what his name. I don't know whatever happened to him.
Yeah, kind of. I think he's done some
Maya or something.
B movies here and there, a couple
Yeah.
things,
Rocky, something.
dabbling in politics, maybe.
Yeah.
Some
slogans
slogans
about when he was young.
Yeah,
So weird.
but
but
exactly,
that's sort of the dynamic. There was like, oh shoot, I want to say his name. Brown was the one. He would go up and do his little head thing on top of the ropes.
D'Lo Brown.
You had D'Lo and Mark Henry. They were the grunts, for lack of a better term, the work guys in back. But there was the leader, and there was the mega understudy, so to speak, that was eventually going to dethrone the leader. I think that's where they were probably going to go, some version of that. And it's been rinse and repeat for, I mean, how many different factions over the years. But that's always the one I always just picture when it comes to that. I think they were probably going to try to do something, maybe not exactly that type of a thing, but that same dynamic. Evolution back in the day, I mean, Evolution was probably the most blatant about it. It was called Evolution.
It was a vehicle to a vehicle to, one, allow Triple H a chance to sort of be in a quasi Four Horsemen thing.
Yes.
But more importantly, it was a vehicle to push Orton especially. And then Batista, I think, ended up being more of a surprise. Exactly. It was more of a surprise. Yeah. It was like, whoa, wow, this guy's actually over. This guy can, get a crowd up. All right, now oh, heck yeah. Okay, so they were able to work with that. But I think on to Paige, I think he's he's working his way through, and I think we're starting to see the shift to where he's gonna be getting a shot at Omega's title. I think it's pretty much they're positioning himself. They're pushing him hard. They're booking him very solid, and they're basically they're throwing the right names at him now, especially now Starks. I think that he's. Go ahead.
You think he's going to be the White Knight, for lack of a better term?
Maybe. I think
against the evil elite. Naturally, it would be Cody, like by the natural kind of flow of things. But I don't think Cody is. I think Cody's. I don't want to say he's gone all business guy, but he's in a weird way. He's the John Cena. He's the face that runs the place. And
I think that
he's sort of gone into the Triple H mode just much sooner, where Triple H left the ring really. I mean, he comes back occasionally and there's a little fight here and there, but he's not in storylines. And I mean, Triple H like 10 years ago, not now. I mean, he's never in storylines now, hardly. But that guy where he's starting to really not in just name alone or storyline, like real everyday business, boardroom, that type of thing. I think he's really just transitioning into that. And so
I think that so I think it's a bit of a hybrid there. I think in some ways you also got to, so I think there's a lot to unpack. One, I think he's doing a bit of an homage to his old man. When he was like Dusty was booking things, he booked himself up against Ric Flair just because it was at the time the best thing to do. He had kept himself out of various different things. Cody's, very, very early on in AEW's history, he put himself in a position where then he couldn't go after the title.
Right.
So they have the TNT title. So then he could turn around and kind of do. So one, it opened him up to do, like you said, a bit of that Triple H, positioning business wise, and freed him up a little bit too, because he didn't have to be the guy. So that freed him up to do more things. But then when he had the TNT title, he was able to do kind of a bit like a John Cena, because you got to remember John Cena had the run where it's like, I've got an open challenge every single week.
Right.
And so he did something very similar there for a bit. And I think part of that too probably could have been more pandemic related. He may not have been as heavy into it, but at the same time, it was like there were so many names that couldn't be there.
Legitimately could not be there.
And so in a way, he was able to kind of help. He had that TNT title run, had the thing with Brody, lost it, then turns around, and I think a good amount of that, he probably wouldn't have been as involved if the pandemic didn't hit and they were able to have more names come in.
For Brody to take over, and that was going to be a big thing. And eventually, he
was able to do that show, that kind of variety, kind of almost kind of a
I can't think of what it's
I think it was called like The Big Show or something like that. It was like something weird, like it was like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then they end up getting Paul Wright, which makes it even weirder. It's like, okay. So I think here's the thing is that Hangman wins. He ends up getting Starks in a crossface. And which, kind of, and like kind of an ankle / crossface kind of thing, which helped with the whole ankle thing. And I think that everybody is just, I think it really, it showed both guys really, really well. So,
they both finished strong. I mean, wins and losses, at the end of the day, wins and losses don't matter, but how you go about getting that win or loss makes you look either really strong or really weak. Usually, occasionally you get the match like these two, and both of them, one loss, but it's not like he got docked really for it. It's not. He didn't look weak while losing. He lost. That night somebody was better, but it wasn't an outside interference that didn't happen until afterwards. So
I think a lot of this too, excuse me, has to do with timing. So I get the feeling they're going to hold off on Hangman maybe till the summer. I'm not 100% certain when Mox is going to need to bow out for a bit with the birth of his kid.
Baby. Yeah.
So in a way, this opens up the door that Hangman can kind of roll through the Team Taz roster, because they attacked him after the match and all this stuff. And so, because like if I remember correctly, their next pay-per-view is Double or Nothing. And then they have All Out. I know All Out's in August, but between now and then, they have Double or Nothing. So they could have Mox, again, depending if the timing's right, they could have Mox continuing his thing with Omega, lose it.
From when they were tag team and part of the All Elite, they were the Elite.
I was talking about Mox and Omega for the next one, for the next one, maybe still. And then, and that way kind of helps to stretch things out. Mox doesn't win it. Mox can then disappear for a little bit, with the baby, take care of all that stuff. And then that then opens up Hangman can kind of work through this arc with Team Taz and then go in with. So my gut's telling me it would probably be All Out in August, would probably be the first chance we'd probably get to see like a legitimate, where they cross, and they could, and then they could use the summer after Double or Nothing to kind of help to start build that. But I mean, they could. Right. I mean, it can be a bit of a crash course because they've already been building him up as the top guy. If he keeps getting wins and wins and wins and wins, it's just going to be a matter of, okay, look, what logistics dictates, if anything else, that I'm the guy to come at you.
Right.
And so, whereas Mox still has a bit of the story on there from like kind of the, the all, plot armor that is the rematch clause, that you can just kind of pull out at any time,
Yeah, exactly.
So he has an easy in to still be in the mix. And we saw tonight too, obviously Mox isn't done with these guys by a long shot. He and Eddie aren't done with these guys. So just the story beats just seem to kind of lean towards that, So
for sure.
So all right, but I was gonna say, Bravo on the opening match. I think right now anything with Hangman Page is gold. They're really booking them really, really well. And kind of helps to Team Taz is actually a pretty decent heel group to have right now because it gives you someone else to pit your guys against other than say Omega right now.
Right. You can't, they're sort of the opening match, the opening feud guys. It seems like that's sort of their opening feud, as in not necessarily entry level, but opening to the
until one of them gets like either the TNT title or the tag titles, or because the FTW title right now is still unofficial, so they need the FTW title that Brian Cage has. Right.
Sure.
It's kind of like the million. It's like the $1 million belt,
Right.
But basically, to legitimize that belt, someone needs to beat Brian Cage and take it from him.
Yes.
Then it makes it a legitimate belt, basically, because then they can defend it. And, basically Cage needs to defend the thing, and ultimately he needs to lose it.
That's it.
Let someone
And
else
it
have
truly
it,
be lost. Someone
and
else
then
takes it.
and then it can
Otherwise,
come.
it's no more. It's no more than like a robe, wearing a robe out to the ring.
Pretty much.
It's
Pretty
look, you
much.
got a belt. Now take it off and put it on the
Well,
side.
what
With
was
the
it
robe.
when Tully and FTR came out? They had that trios match, and they all were wearing like some of the older belts that Tully had.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
They didn't. I mean, they weren't their belts at the time. It was just window dressing. So
That's exactly what it was.
I think, but again, so there's a lot that could be done here. I would like to see Team Taz get their hands on the TNT title at some point, and or the tag titles, to try and help kind of
really there's what, 3 belts outside. Okay, there's the women's belt,
right,
but then there's the the TV belt, and
that's
then
the team
tag,
TNT tag,
TV tag, and champ.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it. I mean, that's
right. So that is pretty light on belts. I mean, with that said, it also makes them important. So, but belts kind of don't mean as much as the story behind it. So, or the story in the the battle is much more interesting to me.
Right. And so all right. So
I was gonna say after that, they cut. It's commercial, and of course, when they come back, the Elite and I'm by the Elite, I'm saying Omega. The Young Bucks have completely bought in at this point, it appears, and they have their own cameraman and go out to their own trailer and all of that. So they're big time in it, as so to speak.
The stuff that the Jacksons are wearing, even out of the ring, they're like, yeah, we're gonna just do everything we can to just make you hate us, because
I mean, there might have been. I do laugh a little bit at that. There was a little. Okay, there was the dissension. Oh, should we? Shouldn't we? Okay, we're not gonna do the too sweet. We'll just give a hug. Yeah, they've gotten over any issues that they may have had. Any what's the word I'm looking for? Tentativeness. They're past that.
Any kind of, at least
indecision.
You're looking at appearances right now. Any kind of conflict that the Young Bucks had about truly going heel,
soul stuff, where they were taught. No,
they seem to be there. The one thing, and I'd be curious to see how they play this out. The fact that they still haven't done the too sweet.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll circle back to that, or if that's really just going to be a kind of dropped.
They're just going to drop. That's what I mean. I mean, I could legitimately see you go either way. They could just decide, okay, you know what, we're just going to, all right, you know what, we don't really know where to take that. We're just going to forget about it and hope everybody else does too. And just, yeah. But in a way, at the very least, it sets a potential seed. Like, even if you're just kind of like more on the conspiracy theory side of things, at least opens up that conversation. Oh, they're just playing. They didn't do the too sweet, so they're just they're kind of still they're 3/4 assing it basically at this stage.
Right. Maybe they're see what it is. They're waiting for AJ Styles to come over. AJ Styles or Finn Balor. So they're really waiting for them to come over.
But see, it would be Prince Devitt.
That's what I'm saying, because he was the originator of all things.
The rock and roller. I mean, the real rock and roller.
Just saying.
Oh, believe me. I'm just saying. But believe me. I have been wanting to see like the real rock and roller Prince Devitt in in American wrestling, on like a national stage, on like even cable. These days it might as well be primetime TV.
Sure.
I mean, to see that character, that guy, we still haven't seen that really in the WWE.
And you're not going to really see it. I mean, WWE, they think the
Oh
world of
no,
their writers and how smart they all
no,
are and how great they are. And so can't use anybody else's stuff.
not
Even though they
really.
sort of they have started saying Prince.
Yeah.
Prince been, Prince Balor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just, yeah.
So I think there's but yeah, if that's the case, then that's a whole nother road.
I was gonna say,
I don't want to go down because good God,
with them later on too.
Yeah,
we can talk about that. Anyhow, so Penta is next.
Penta and Trent.
And, yeah.
So again, I mean, this was kind of one of those where it was a match. It was a good match. I think both these guys can go. Didn't really. Oh, Penta.
Yeah, I really. He might be one of my favorites.
He is absolutely 100% one of the best talents they have, and they know it.
It's weird for somebody that doesn't speak Spanish. I should speak it a lot better, but anyhow, for someone who does not, to be engaged with someone that is completely saying things that I don't fully understand word for word what he is saying. I know generally what he's saying, and be engaged engaged as I am, that takes enormous talent.
Mm-hmm.
For someone to say something in another language and you to be like, yeah, okay, all right,
man.
He is into whatever.
Right, exactly.
I'm not sure what he said, but
he means it. He
means it. And that is so hard.
Nah, that's Penta.
So hard.
I saw him. I got introduced to Penta watching Lucha Underground.
Gotcha.
And there he was, Pentagon Jr. He had a storyline with Vampiro, who was, you remember Vampiro from like WCW? Yes, my boy. And Vampiro was more behind the scenes, and he was an announcer. And then with Penta, they had this whole thing where he was basically like breaking everyone's arms in the ring, and like doing all this and this like just this real dark stuff. But it was like, this whole thing where like there was basically a higher power behind it. And then it turned out to be Vampiro. And then they ended up having like this crazy match. There was like fluorescent lights involved, and like they were smashing it on each other. It was brutal. It was bloody. It was just as dark as you could get. And they just, for the type of match that it was incredible. And they both did a really good job of just putting it forth. And Penta ended up winning the thing. And it was just like, he was the man, and like he was like, there was no touching him at that point.
Wow.
But yeah, he's got good stuff. I think they need to stop playing around. He needs to be a 100% heel. No, I don't care what's going on. None of that with this guy. Not this guy. Not this dude, and not Bastard Pac. Phoenix, I can see them doing that with, but Pac and Penta especially, they need to keep those guys on one side of the ring and just leave it there, because it doesn't make sense otherwise. Yes, they're crowd favorites. That's fine these days. It doesn't have, doesn't quite have to be where like Jim Cornette would say, where if you're not getting death threats, you're not doing it right, kind of thing. Those days are over, unless you're an idiot. But yeah, this guy just needs to be a heel. I mean, and that's really, the match itself was fine. He's got his translator who's doing a pretty good job as a hype man kind of thing, and kind of doing that job. I think he's been doing work on the Spanish announce table.
Right.
So them bringing him in,
still what he is, because they even make comments about it, which I like.
Yeah.
Where they're like, he looks like he's enjoying this a little bit too much. He's not really this. He's really over here with us, but he's enjoying this a little bit too much. I did like kind of where they're going with that.
The Abrahantes. One thing though I will say is it's something, it is kind of like that indie style, and to an extent sort of, the kind of the Mexican style. There was a move where Penta dropped Trent straight on his head.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like, it was like, no, that should not happen like that. Yeah. Especially when you're looking at a guy who just came back. I'm like, man, don't tell me this dude's going to end up back on the bench because he got hurt. He got literally dropped on his head. But Penta's a monster. They actually did a pretty good job here. One thing I will say is that there was that exchange at the end where Abrahantes, was in the ring. They grabbed the microphone.
Orange comes in behind them.
Orange comes in, but there's that part.
No, yeah.
But Trent is talking. So something happened, and then I think it was Trent that was talking to the Abraham just grabbed the microphone and went through and said, you suck, your friends suck, and you know who really sucks? Your mama sucks. And then pulls it and then ends up in the ring. Trent's trying to get in. The ref is distracted with Trent trying to get in.
Yes.
And they actually did a pretty good job here. Orange then walks up behind Abrahantes and is basically getting ready to put which is like, okay, why are you going to do that and not just punch the guy? But whatever. Yeah. But outside of that part, but then they have Penta come around and then drop Orange, which then freed him up to then, get through. And then, to get the microphone in the face and then get the package pile driver from Penta and all that. The way that it's kind of one of those things you really kind of need to watch it to do it justice. Just
I was going to say, because timing. There's a lot of, it flows across the ring and then flows back halfway into the ring, and you got to see kind of everything. And definitely, if you watch that, the
timing of the execution on that at the end, I think really, really flowed very, very well. And it's been a while since I've seen it like done that well.
Happen.
Yeah.
Actually, there was no weird pauses that you see where people are waiting for somebody to be in the right spot, and you catch them a lot. I mean, turn around. Okay, yay, I got you. But they haven't quite turned. They didn't know you were going to be. There was none of that. It was a very smooth, like I said, we're off to one side of the ring and back.
And I was trying to remember. Why the ref was trying to keep Trent from coming in. It's because Trent grabbed a chair.
Yeah, because
Trent grabbed a chair, so then the ref. Trent grabbed, because otherwise, I mean, he's legal to go, but there'd be no other.
Supposed to be the one.
Yeah, there's no other reason for the ref to try and keep him out of the ring.
Yes.
So he has the chair, which then forces the ref to get distracted by him, which then allows him to do the whole thing with Orange, and then the double turn on the double, well, not turn, but double kind of thing with Penta then sneaking behind Orange and then kind of breaking up that whole thing, and then just allow everything to just completely go to crap, to allow then Trent to get hit by Penta. Great, just like it was a good great heel
right in there.
Distraction with the guy and the whole. I mean, so it's just stuff that you don't necessarily see as much. And again, I think this is one of those feuds too that because of the pandemic, and then especially I think with Trent getting hurt and everything else, this was something that had gotten put on the shelf because they couldn't get Pac back.
He couldn't get out of England.
Yeah, he was sitting there, you know, talking to 500 doubles of himself in his head.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, all in all, good match. Again, you know, not like a show stealer by any means, but I mean, it was pretty smooth.
A good second match. It moved on. Yeah.
Yep.
It moved the story. It was an interesting ending. That type of thing. So after that, we get the interview with the pineapple.
Okay, listen. I know everyone's got jokes. Everybody's got jokes. But after that promo that MJF dropped, come on, man. Come on. There's nothing to be said other than just applause for this.
I mean, he's you know, related. He's trying to copy some hacks from the 20s that used to be relevant for something. You know, but aside from that,
no. They weren't this good.
Of course they weren't. They were terrible.
No, they were not. But they weren't this good.
No, they were.
This
Flair could talk, but no one else could.
Well, Arn could too. Arn, again, it was like basic, and again, it wasn't that they were completely terrible on the mic.
No,
Flair. It's just this. Flair was Flair. He had his catchphrases that he could throw out there and all that. Arn was probably the better, and Ole to an extent. Tully wasn't terrible, but Arn was probably the best at keeping it on point about what was going on, what was actually going on. You know what I mean?
Like legitimately, this is
what's happening.
Tell you how this is.
Yeah, Flair's just off doing it. Doesn't matter who he's going up against. It's just
beat the man. He can beat the man.
It's just he's gonna go off and do his catchphrases no matter what.
Right.
Arn, Ole to an extent, especially after Ole left, Arn kind of really took that spot where basically it was okay, and Tully was more like, okay, I'm in it for myself, but as long as we're able to do our thing, I'm good. But you know, so Tully could never be completely trusted. Oh yeah,
even in the bad guys.
Oh, absolutely.
The thief among the thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But Arn was that guy to kind of keep it on point. But I mean,
so this promo, MJF got a new silky scarf. That's cute.
It is. It's springtime, man. He can't, he doesn't need that, the chafing on the neck after they're in Florida.
Yeah.
You got to be able to, he's got to pop that collar. He's got to have something nice to put around.
You got a nice silky scarf. I will say this is about one of the largest scarves I've ever seen. I don't know what kind of scarf that is.
It wasn't as big as
kept opening it. It was just like
it wasn't as big as Jericho's infinity scarf thing. Like that thing had its own zip code.
This one was just wide. This was, like I said, it was like a sheet and that he just then hung around his neck. So it was a little. Anyhow, I'm picking. I like MJF. I like being the,
No, I know
pineapple thing.
No, but I know.
Actually, no, MJF. This was a great program.
But there's a couple things here. I think Wardlow actually kind of started things off here, and
he didn't do bad.
Legitimately did very well. And basically just said out, like, hey, look, Jericho, look, man, I'll give you, kind of what I'm say is like, I'll give you credit. Hey, you dropped one of the best promos of your career, but then once you started getting to my name, You stuttered a
No,
bit.
no, 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 no. Yeah, he got the
Because you,
Matumbo
cause,
thing.
cause you knew in the back of your head saying my name was a mistake. I'm like,
Yeah,
damn, son.
yeah, yeah,
Coming from the muscle in the group, the guy that could probably just run rip shot on everybody in that room at a second, and
yeah.
then to come off and drop that, that's something. But then and then you saw it, that set the stage. And then when MJF took over, it was done. It was done.
Yeah, yeah. MJF,
It's
when he started to yell, basically, it changed. Like, he had been sort of the mild mannered reporter up until then. Oh, it was great and da 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 da. And he got his new shiny scarf, and Wardlow said his piece. And yeah, when he came back, it was on. He was talking about the Jericho rub doesn't exist. Uh, he's already beat him anyhow. Jericho, I think, what was the line where he says, "Jericho, you stand around a bunch of bees, so you look like an A."
you surround
Uh,
yourself with a bunch of B's so you look like an A, and then you
when you
wrestle
wrestle,
A's so you don't look like a B.
yeah,
But basically, it's like so. And here's the thing: he's like talking about like I think the best line I liked out of it was he was talking about oh you've yeah, you beat this guy, you beat this guy, you beat they
right.
mentioned Cutler, they mentioned Orange
I,
Cassidy. Yes.
yeah, but I beat you. So
Yes.
where does that put me? Yeah,
And then the other part was, again, he's talking about the ideas like, I keep hearing everyone say that I look great for 25. It says that, make no mistake about it, I'm just
yeah,
great,
yeah.
period. And then also he says, again, the order of it, I can't remember, but in
I
that,
like the follow up line for that one where he was talking about Jericho was curtain jerking
oh,
on
at
the worldwide.
25, you were curtain jerking. Yeah. In Japan and
Hmm.
various other places. And, but the key one there, was, somewhere around in Jericho's promo, he said that MJF was a mark, and
Yeah,
Mark's and MJF's like, yeah, I'll admit it. I am a mark. But I'm not a mark for you, Chris. I'm a mark for your spot. And I mean,
yeah,
just the seriousness, the anger in it, just I am
yeah. There was
done
venom
playing games here.
because
Holy
at the end of
crap.
the day, the best promos are ones that are sprinkled with truth, and the
Yeah.
truth is he is looking for that spot,
Mm-hmm.
as any wrestler should be
Sure.
looking for that
Sure.
spot.
Yeah.
As Jericho is truly, if you
Mm-hmm.
take the kayfabe out of it, is setting them up to
To
take
take it.
his
Yeah.
spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, no
So
doubt. No doubt.
there,
Yeah.
but the
He's
things that have
Jericho's
sprinkled
like,
in truth
yeah, Jericho's there to set up a spot for someone to take. It's really,
to be the
you know,
megastar.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And in a way, again, kind of on the quasi kayfabe, not so kayfabe, Ian's hatred for Flair. This reminds me of what Flair did for Sting. Flair did a similar type of thing where he put, in a way, kind of very similar in the sense that Sting was put into the Four Horsemen just so then they could turn on him, push him to the moon as a face, and then have Sting beat him and
right.
effectively take that spot at that time. And
Sure.
it was just, and then, I mean, and the way Flair basically politicked and pushed and cheerleaded behind the scenes to like, we got to push this guy, we got to push this guy, we got to push this guy, we got to push this guy.
Right.
Stuff like that. When you hear like those kinds of things, I'm sure Jericho's in a very similar position here for MJF. Sure. And so, right. Yeah, this was incredible. Blood and Guts is going to be.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that.
This is good. See now, and again, we can talk about the Inner Circle promo a little bit later.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll get to that.
But they got to deliver here.
This is true.
They
This is a
put themselves
big build.
up into. I think they've got the right guys in place,
Yes.
but they've really got to
gotta hit
knock this out of the park.
Yeah.
This can't be
It doesn't even matter which one wins.
No.
You could make a case for either.
Yeah.
You could make a case for either. I think you have to. You don't have to. I think it would be better if the Inner Circle loses.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it would be better. I think that eventually then sets up a Pinnacle, maybe, possibly a Pinnacle versus Elite, because they start becoming that at that point.
Mm-hmm.
With easy crossovers, whereas tag teams maybe first or something like that. They still won't have a belt. So,
well, that's the thing too. And Elite has
maybe they're a group that gets a belt. Maybe they're one of the groups. Maybe Wardlow's the one that gets the FTW belt.
I
he's
think
sort of the natural one to get that out of there.
Yeah, I think that
if they were to go that route.
I mean, they've got. If they wanted to go down that path, then you also the one that doesn't make as much sense would be Sean Spears, but you could also have. I know, and I kind of feel bad for the guy. But what could make sense is Wardlow going after the TNT title.
All right.
And then have MJF looking at the championship title. It would even make more sense after Omega loses it to Hangman.
Fair enough.
Right?
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
he doesn't need to be the next.
If you
don't need to be the next feud.
If you get then some kind of face team, or maybe kind of like even like a quasi heel team, some walk away with the tag belts off the Young Bucks, then again you have and I think it would even make sense for them, those belt holders, to not be directly affiliated with each other.
Sure.
But then the Pinnacle can say, okay, we are now in a position to go after what we're here for, and that's the gold. And then they can then have some or all of the belts to sort of be that dominant group to get taken down by whomever. And it helps to really but give them a good run with it. Give them enough room to breathe and develop.
And be the bad faction, the bad guys. All
be
the
legitimate.
Bad factions don't get beaten a month. If you get beaten a month, then
what's the point? And that's kind of where it started to get a little bit of maybe a bit of ADD in their booking with this whole Pinnacle FTR. I'm sorry, I keep a Pinnacle Inner Circle thing.
you even brought it up a couple of weeks ago where they jumped the gun, or not jumped the gun, but they had the big comeuppance. A week after,
basically, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. They had a week as the Pinnacle. Really didn't get a chance to beat anybody, and then
they turned on them 1 week.
Yeah,
they had that, and then they were getting their comeuppance at that point.
But I also wonder too if maybe they needed to speed this up a little bit, because I wonder if Jericho's going to take a break. I wonder if Jericho
maybe with things starting to open up and where they can go on tour.
Fozzy might go on tour or do whatever, and just give him just a chance, because he's kind of had a run now where then he can kind of disappear. So I think again,
that's even more reason for him to lose.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yep. And then we'll see where the Inner Circle kind of goes from there. They got enough guys there that can then turn around and sort of do their own thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that, and the other thing too, and again, it's just one of those optics. you've got 6 gentlemen sitting there in suits.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just, all right, look, we do, obviously, we're doing our ring gear and everything when we're, going to work. But right now it's like, no. Listen, you're dealing with a different level here. You're dealing with a different mentality. Yeah.
It's supposed to be.
We're professionals. Yeah. We're
right.
We're saying
NBA
we're the best of the best.
Where, the guys that are, between, okay, you play in shorts and, tank tops, but to and from, you're in suits,
Although it's gotten kind of it's gotten kind of weird here recently. They've laxed on it, but for a while there was like, no, look, you're coming in, you're representing us, you're coming out and you're putting a suit on, you're coming out, Jordan, regardless, that was like,
because he figured it out.
Yeah, it's like I'm a businessman, this is part of what I do. But just again, I mean, and not just like janky suits. I mean, these guys look tight,
No.
And so I'm really excited to see this kind of a team. It's the same kind of thing that I really liked about Hurt Business, which is kind of now starting to get kind of weird now. But when you had just those 4 guys standing there, in the suits, it's like, no, look, you're going to take us seriously. That we're not playing.
You usually have the dark suit and they have the gold belts. And
right.
It's bling with the it's a very good look for it. So.
Yep. So I'm loving this right now. I hope they I hope they don't mess this up with blood and guts. And I also wonder again why they're also again maybe on the side of Jericho needing to kind of take a break. The reason why they're doing this is sort of more of a themed Dynamite as opposed to a true to form pay-per-view. So, but anyway, just well done, gentlemen. Just well done. Yeah. I can't even fall on the scarf, man. Like I said, it's springtime. Get the man a silk scarf. Let's do this right.
Bed sheet.
It wasn't a bed sheet.
It was huge. He pulled up a big square.
I was saying, he's got to do the, the whole sheet. It's silk, but it's got to have some heft to it. It's got to have, Oh my goodness.
This guy. Anyhow, after that we had the women's match.
Tay Conti versus Hikaru Shida.
I always like when Tay Conti's on.
Well, yeah. And I mean, both of them are legit. Shida's got a very solid background in Japan, solid martial arts background. Tay Conti is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Has done some MMA. And so both have, you can tell they're not just like they're definitely not.
You almost have to slow a little bit to remember. Oh, that's right. I don't actually want to break her arm.
right. Yeah, their instincts might want to. Nope.
Slow down a little bit here. It's sort of the same Shayna Baszler. At times when she was a little greener.
This match could have been the main event.
Yeah, it was a really good match.
It absolutely could have been the main event and would have gone over like gangbusters. These two know how to deliver in the ring. Like you said, I mean, you can almost tell. It's like I think they have. I think they're more in a different problem of just making sure that their instincts don't start kicking in and they don't turn it into a shoot. Really, because good Lord, the stuff, the counters, the back and forths, the kicks, everything, the corner boots, and just the different things that they did. They were all over the ring, and but it wasn't like it wasn't like rushed. It wasn't
No,
sloppy. It wasn't
it wasn't the
too
WWE in
frenetic.
their 2 minute
Oh
tag
yeah,
women's tag matches.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
no. They gave it time to develop without it ever feeling slow or too fast. I mean, again, it's just I think especially nowadays too is it's pacing.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Especially on TV. You know, they really did this well, and again, I think it's kind of it's not the norm, and it should be. So when I do get to see matches like this one, like the Hangman Starks match, where and even even Penta and Trent, where the timing of the matches made sense. This might be one of the tightest booked shows that I've seen. Just in tight, but I mean just like appropriately well done, well booked, well scheduled, well executed, and just like everything seemed to be firing on all cylinders this week. And it's really good to see, especially them turning this up like this. Again, that's why I said at the beginning that I almost kind of wish that this was last week's episode, because
I agree.
You get that crowd coming in from the NXT who may not be necessarily watching otherwise, and you see this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we're not losing anything. We're not dropping down the card to come look at these guys. No, this is actually really good. So no, I agree wholeheartedly.
So again, and you had sort of started to work near the end of the match. You had Shida hit Conti with a Falcon Arrow to a 2 count. You can kind of start to see the frustration and just kind of that, just sort of that classic look. You've seen it time and time again, but when it's well done, it always works. It's that, holy crap, what the hell do I have to do? And Shida sold that.
At any point, you could have seen the match going to the person that lost.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean? Like whoever was going to lose, you could see. Okay, yeah, no, that's legit. Oh, this is that moment with the crowd's behind. Oh shoot, I just dropped her name. Tay.
Yep, Tay Conti.
Behind her. Yeah, they're behind her, and okay, that's that moment. This is the big move. She double backed. Okay, she's just. You're kind of going along for the ride, and anytime when it comes with that, like you were saying with Falcon Arrow and all that,
and
going through.
It's a great example of, if you want to see a match where, again, kind of one of the, I think one of the knocks that's not totally inappropriate for old school wrestlers, one of the knocks they have in some of the current day wrestling is sort of the gray area of the heel and the face. And they want more concrete heel face type matches and things like that.
They want DC villain and hero as opposed to Marvel.
And have it very, very clear. And there's certain rules that you have to follow. Right. Look at this match, and I think it's a perfect example where you can put together a match and there not be a heel or a face.
They're both faces.
They're basically both faces, because they're both legitimate. They both can legitimately beat you, and neither one of them, crossed any lines, broke any rules, nothing. It was just a straight up fight, and they took it to each other.
Oh, okay, they're gonna win. Okay, yeah. Oh no, we've ramped up to here. Now we ramp up to here and they kind of keep building, because there's no moment of yay the face, oh the heel, yay the face, oh the heel.
And I think, it seems to, I was watching this match, it took me back to the Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair match. Because even though, Sasha was clearly the heel, she didn't didn't pull out too many heel
aside
moves.
from pulling the hair
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
Which is also kind of like, well, I don't even face or not. I'm going to pull the damn hair. It's there.
Giant, he's got this giant rope tied to your head. I'm going to pull that. Let's do that.
Yeah. And I wonder also part of this was, okay, I'm going to pay you back now for what you're going to hit me with later.
Pretty much. That is true. There's some of that.
But with this, I mean,
don't think they even meant to.
I don't think it meant to be like that, but hey, it worked.
Hey, it was perfect.
But with this,
absolutely perfect.
This you've got, and it also again kind of talks about like kind of the legitimacy of women's wrestling, especially for AEW, where again the women's division overall hasn't been that strong. But you've got women like Sheeta and Conti in there now. You've got Serena Deeb, you've got Thunder Rosa. I think Britt Baker in the right context, can be there, because that match she had with Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, that match they had a few weeks, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was.
It was a while ago. Yes.
That match was incredible. So you're starting to develop the talent appropriately. And so I think it's getting there. This match in particular, and a couple other matches that I've seen, are starting to give me a lot of hope here that they've got the right pieces in place. They pull in some, hey, come July, there's going to be some top women's talent looking for a job.
Just saying.
I'm not saying
how long.
I'm just saying.
Iconic. Anyhow. The
Chelsea Green, Mickey James is a coach / veteran. I mean, you could go down so many roads.
Thing like they do with Sting or something.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Can really kind of help develop that side of things better. Oh man! So anyway, so there's a lot of light at the end of this tunnel for AEW's women's division with some of the matches that they've been pulling up with here recently, and I'm loving it. I'm just
I agree with you. I even liked. I will say this, and she's still the top. She's still the top woman in the group, and I don't know it's really that close, but as soon as this match is over, I do like what they did. I've seen probably versions of this, but this is one time I will say the whole rankings thing that they're trying to build in,
right,
I thought was executed. And I was like, okay, no, that's actually really cool. That's the way it kind of should go.
Like, all right, Sheeta.
Britt Baker, as soon as Sheeta wins.
Oh, didn't even give her a second to
Britt Baker
process.
Music hit. She walks out, looks at her, and points up at the. I was gonna say scoreboard. Points up at the.
Basically, and
it shows Tay getting replaced by the number one contender now being Britt.
Yep.
And that has tied into the storyline, which is Britt said that she knew.
Yeah.
Oh, this whole wins and losses thing. I know how to stack the deck on that. Okay, but again. She, so she's been playing this whole role, but it played in, and she comes out, does the little look, and is like, you're holding my belt. I'll see you in a little while.
And again, another reason why I think the way this thing went through, it could have easily been slotted in the main event, and it would have been perfectly fine, because that would have been
ended the show with that.
With that,
ended the show with Britt walking off, doing that, and that going so
easily. So this, but another thing too, even though Conti lost, she looked incredible.
That's what I was just going to say. You started to build.
Neither one of these ladies got buried by this match, and so again, well done, well booked, well executed, everything. Just bravo, AEW, keep doing this, and you're going to keep that million number. You're going to keep it at least there, if not higher, with stuff like this, because this is what gets you. This is what keeps you there, right? So the next thing I have is the Inner Circle response. I don't know if you have anything in between this.
Before that, and maybe right after we say this part, I'm going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
The next match after that, or not match. Well, there was a brief promo of Miro.
Oh, that's
And
right. Yeah.
so Miro is
Again.
there.
Again. This guy's like, okay, he's not playing video games anymore. He's serious now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he straight says it. He doesn't even, he gives a pro. It's hard to do a promo that isn't about your opponent. His promo was only about he's going to choose who his opponent's going to be and what belt he wants.
Right.
And whatever that belt is, whoever's it is going to be his. It wasn't hey, Chris Jericho, hey, MJF, hey, something. It was just,
this is where it's,
dude.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, I don't care who it is. I'm coming after the belt. I want the belt. That's all I care about.
I want a belt.
Yeah.
A belt. Any belt.
And also, I was like, I think also
Maybe
with that, he was saying,
one that goes after the one with Taz.
Oh, the FTW.
Mm-hmm.
That could be an interesting story, where if maybe for whatever reason he can't quite work that out. You've had Brian Cage's position within Team Taz be somewhat questionable here and there. You could have something there. Hell, have Miro win it, end up kind of replacing Cage in Team Taz, and let Cage turn face. That wouldn't be a terrible story. But again, it also adds a little bit of legitimacy to that belt, because then there's stakes to it. Cage has got to lose that thing. Cage has got to put it up and lose it. And then it makes
Cage's it per se, is it? What I mean by that, isn't it more Taz related than Cage?
Taz is the one that created the belt in ECW and defended it and stuff like that. Yes. So it's more, but he gave it to Cage, right? And so to make it legitimate.
No. I totally understand. But is it, in other words, I'm saying again, the legitimacy of it, is it more about Cage? In this scenario, Cage loses, Cage turns face, leaves Team Taz, Miro enters with the belt, still in Team Taz. Does it make it legitimate? Doesn't it have to leave Team Taz for it to be legitimate? Because it's Taz's belt. At the end of the day, it's Taz's belt. You know what I'm saying?
I think eventually it would need to go down that road.
Maybe.
Early on, though, I mean, Miro could, and either way, I think I could see it working either way, where I just think that Miro on Team Taz would add a level of legitimacy to the group that they would really need.
A little more venom.
Right. Yeah. But taking that aside, maybe, Miro's just going to be like, no, I'm my own dude right now. And I just whooped your boy and took your belt, Taz,
Yeah.
But the other thing, too, is especially as Miro is a heel, it also kind of would make a little bit more sense to just let him because it's like that, because it's not like Team Taz is going to turn face anytime soon. I don't see Miro making sense turning face anytime soon. So
is Cage good at talking? I've never
he's
heard
not. He's decent. He's good enough. He's not. He's not Eddie Kingston.
I've never heard him talk, so I was wondering if they would ever could he ever, maybe he never breaks up.
Nah, he could. He could.
A handler.
Nah, he could do. He's done his own runs in TNA, and again, he could be. He doesn't necessarily have to have like a talker necessarily. You never know how they could, but they could also maybe put him with somebody as kind of a quasi. Maybe they work him out with. Well, he has a match with Christian Cage next week. So we'll have to see how
team up type of deal.
Potentially, maybe, because again, he's kind of like, maybe even if he beats Christian, maybe sort of earn sort of that level of respect for him, kind of like he did with Sting, and so. Or maybe he gets in line with Darby. There's a lot of ways that could possibly go, but I think that, ultimately,
There's clearly a faction starting over in the Darby side. We'll talk about that
yeah.
later.
But I think
Yeah.
with Miro again, this is what they needed to do. Get him away from the whole arcade kind of looking goofy thing.
I
But
get why they did it when he first came in, because again, it's the live crowds and stuff like that. And
yeah,
hey, he's out there. Bring him in because of other talent and the politics of and egos that go along with it.
sure.
It does sort of set a bit of a question mark if you bring a guy from that other company in and he's suddenly the top guy.
Right.
Every time. And you always, because if there's a top guy, that means there's naturally people below him. And if you keep piling top guys, eventually.
No, I get it. But I mean, in a way, if anything else, it kind of helped to even add a little bit more teeth to this. Because it's like, okay, so I'm kind of playing around. He was the best man. He was doing all this stuff. And he basically said it. He's like, with Kip, he's like, you're either along for the ride or not. But this is the path I'm taking.
Where I'm going.
So it's kind of like, maybe even opens up to where it's like, okay, Kip, hey, you want to go after this tag belts? Let's go. Otherwise, I'm gonna find a singles belt, and I'm
cleans up his character a bit. He's not no one's expecting him to be in a weird wedding.
No.
That's so they got rid of all of that stuff. They weren't waiting for Lana to show up or anything. But that's always a
talking about
always a thing.
Talking about a weird like, why did WWE keep one person over some of the others? But anyway,
they kept her but not the icon. I don't know. So
anyway, but we'll take a quick pause for the cause, and then we'll jump into this Inner Circle promo with Jericho. I think,
so I was like, if we get into that, that's going to be
this is going to be a lot to unpack here with this one. All right, cool. We will be back in a bit.
All right.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Took a quick little break there. Yeah, I think we've got the inner circle response here. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
And we can kind of go into like the overall review of it. But should they have done this week?
No. You should no. They shouldn't have. Yeah. You didn't hear hesitation when I said that. No.
Yeah. I think that's probably
hear,
my
the end of your sentence, and I'm like, oh, that was it. Yeah, no, they should not have. I thought it could have easily been. Well, how far out is Blood and Guts at this point? Is it 2 weeks?
I think so, because Chris asks for a parlay next week.
Sure. So I was going to say, if it's 2 weeks out and you want to definitely get that parlay in, okay, fine. You have the. Question is, did you need a whole promo?
Exactly.
Promo.
Exactly.
I could have. You know what? Next week, I'm tired of hearing this. We're going to sit there and we're going to have this blah, blah, blah. And it could have had the same effect.
Right.
This was a great promo. I mean, like if I can sit it off to itself, absolutely great. But yeah, it.
So I think one of the things, and again, the Pinnacle alluded to this. I think I'd say probably one of the highlights of last week's Dynamite was Jericho's promo. Mm-hmm. And he helped to establish again, help to cement the inner circle as sort of kind of in that face role. Mm-hmm. He was able to say,
put a face out there that everyone on a TV show, on a show that is bringing over perhaps a brand new audience with a familiar face that everybody knows. Hey, Chris Jericho, I know that guy.
Yep. And he really, he knocked that one clean out of the city. Forget the park. And so,
and all.
Yep. My concern then there is that, with this one,
waters down a little bit.
That, and you're opening yourself up to maybe not look as strong because you did such a good job the week before. Now, like you said, and I agree, overall, I think this one was good, but it wasn't as good as the last one. And so,
because it couldn't be. It's sort of like the summary of what I just said.
Pretty much.
Nearly as impactful when I first say it. I'm going to go over and I'm going to beat up everybody. In conclusion, as I just stated, I'm going to go over there and then beat up everybody. Okay, well,
I think the only thing, and again, I think that think you're right. I think they could have done this much more succinctly. The only thing I would say that they were able to do with this promo is you've got Jake Hager a chance to talk, and you got Santana a chance to go on the mic, and you looking at two of the guys who don't typically get the mic time to come in, but you didn't. But you still could have done it like more succinctly. More as kind of, all right, look, next week.
A backstage type of
exactly. Deal. Yeah.
I see it. I see that more of, hey, let's go see what the Inner Circle thought of, MJF just talking about himself.
Right.
So,
right.
Okay, hey. And, you open the door and you just have Jericho sort of sitting in the back of the group, and not Wardlow. Hager can have his piece.
Yep.
You know what? I'm sick of this. And he starts.
You're gonna be eating through. You're gonna be sucking your dinners through straws. Boom, done.
Have that. Yeah. Right past him, have Santana come up, because absolutely they should. Actually, Santana did really well.
I don't know
that I've ever heard him talk.
Not often. Again, that's what I'm saying. You get two guys that get a chance to talk who don't very often, and so I think that gave them that opportunity. But that's great. If that's all you really needed. If that's all you really needed, you could have done. Backstage, boom, boom, done.
I would have had it at that point. I would have had Jericho then say, "You know what? I've had enough of this. This talk is. Next week we're gonna see you. Blah 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 blah. We're gonna have the what did they call the? They
called it the parlay. It's basically that's basically what he said. It was basically a parlay. It's basically a way to. Again, the idea here is more just. It's just more to build buzz. It really is what it is. It's just building that buzz. Okay, fine.
Have them say that. Depending on how the parlay thing works out, I might have saved this to be the next week thing. The tie to, the time of talk is over, and I'll see you next week, and we're gonna whip your ass.
Well, that's the other. That's the thing too. I think, and you could have even, I think the biggest thing is that I think this was kind of a chance to kind of lead up to almost. So you're building buzz on top of buzz on top of buzz, basically, is what they're doing here to keeping the momentum going. So I think in that regard, sure. Again, I think really quick, boom, boom, like you said, backstage, make it look more impromptu, and just more of just the kind of get
bring
the
them out. Yeah, and there's an announcer, and they got to do the song, and
then Jericho.
I like hearing the song sing. I like to sing along with it. I do it, but it's nice, but it's a lot of pomp and circumstance there
for something that really should have been more of a raw kind of reaction kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And just to kind of help build that up. And then even if you couldn't have all the time to necessarily get all the beats in that you wanted to this week, it just gives you more to work with next week.
The next week.
To then kind of have that final kind of, okay, this is it. All the, let's get all the talking said and done. Let's get it all out right now, because next week nobody's talking. No,
there's no talking.
And so, again, I think that I'm staying optimistic about this, given the talents at play here. Sure. But again, I think this also just kind of helps to reiterate that. This blood and guts. Well, so now they've got two things. They've got to deliver strong with this whole parlay segment, which again, I'm not 100% certain that they absolutely need either. Because again, it just seems to me like an opportunity to maybe screw something up and kind of.
I agree with you.
So, but again, with them, if you let MJF and Jericho do most of the talking, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
You'll be fine.
That Tully can do their thing, but if you let it mostly be Jericho and MJF, I think it's going to be okay. But again, it's just kind of just sort of opening yourself up for potential letdown or something. You might even deliver what's written or what's set up as well as it can be done. But if the setup just isn't right and falls flat, then what does that do for you?
You could crush a lot of budding stars. Speaking of budding stars, Sammy.
Yeah.
What's up with Sammy? Like his only real line, he has like 2 lines. One to say some word in Spanish.
Yeah.
Was it straws this time?
It was like more like a reaction to Hager, I think. I can't remember.
To correct Jericho when he calls him the pineapple.
Some different ones will do it. Like at one point, Hager did it. At one point, Santana.
I thought Guevara did it.
Well, no, I'm saying no. Different ones have done it at different points in time. So no, I think I know for a fact Santana's done it at least once, and I don't know if it was either Ortiz or Hager. But basically, just be someone like would just quickly whisper in Jericho's ear, and just kind of. Right. So yeah. I think Guevara. I kind of see this. Well, I think with this one, I think basically what they're gonna do, and again, I think a lot of this sort of kind of leads to the idea of the Inner Circle losing this one. Yeah. Jericho going on his hiatus, doing whatever. Let the Inner Circle kind of do their own thing. They might still be kind of loosely associated, but then this also gives Sammy an opportunity to step up and build a name for himself off of the whole Inner Circle thing, especially if he's not the one that takes the pin.
The 3-man
with him and Santana and Ortiz. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could do that. Right. Especially if maybe, I don't know, maybe you make it somehow that Hager takes the pin or something like that. I'm trying to figure out who would be best to do that. I think Santana or Ortiz, one of them could easily do it. It can't be Sammy. It can't be Jericho.
Sammy, I don't think it should be Hager either.
Yeah, true.
I think you gotta keep him strong.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He's solo. He could do a solo run with the handler.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
But yeah, you get him out there. But yeah, Santana or Ortiz, one of the two of them. I would say I always switch them up. Santana's the taller one, right?
Correct.
Yes, okay. I always want to say that, and I'm like, no, I think it's wrong. I always do that. I always switch it. Yeah, Ortiz, I think, is the one that is the natural person to lose. He's the person to take the pin.
Nah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I think Guevara.
But yeah, Guevara's got to walk out of this looking good, and I agree. Hager
maybe he's
does
the one that turns. Maybe maybe that whole thing with him and MJF was a little overdone. Who knows?
Or just more.
Or maybe he's just tired of Chris Jericho.
Maybe. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Not
even
too, but
I don't see any kind of Guevara MJF kind of alignment happening.
Mm-mm.
But they're still just off the heels of the Inner Circle effectively kicking him out. And yes, because of the machinations of MJF, but still, there's still that story beat that's in play in the background. It never really completely got resolved about where it's like, where Sammy could potentially say, I am done with your punk ass,
Right.
But I think it's more, I think this is going to be more of, you're going to have some shenanigans definitely on the Pinnacle side. Having the fact that Inner Circle is still kind of more of a gray area face team, you could see some shenanigans on their end too. But ultimately, I think this is going to be something where I think it's going to be more. I could see either going the route of leading to basically a clean finish, or it being more of like a true kind of screw job kind of thing. From Pinnacle to then you could have someone like Ortiz lose, but even not look that bad.
Clean finish.
Well,
I think you have to have the clean, even if it's shenanigans on their end.
kind of
but
threw
clean
out,
isn't.
but the
Yeah,
ultimate win comes up clean. Yeah.
right. The bad guys can cheat. It's okay to a degree, but no run-ins, no turn. The good guys lose a member because they've turned to the dark side. That type of thing.
Right.
A win, and then the aftermath is Santana. I mean, Sammy
Ortiz,
just
I
getting
see what you're saying. Yeah.
ticked off.
Sammy. Yep.
And
Just
it's like,
being
I'm tired of this, or
yeah.
Jericho kind of yelling at him, that type of a thing.
Sure. Or heck, Jericho yelling at Ortiz and Sammy's like saying, just, I'm done with that.
Yeah, I'm done with this. I don't want to hear this anymore. Just some dissension.
And the other thing too with the blood and guts match, I'm not 100% certain on the setup and the gimmick and the stipulations and everything about it. So
yeah, they tried it with the elite in the inner circle.
Well, they never had it. They were leading up to it.
Right, but that's when everything broke down.
So I think this is going to could very well be one of those types of matches where it almost kind of has to be more of a clean finish within the rules of the match, because it's a bit more open. It's kind of anything goes kind of a match anyway.
Yeah. Right.
So it's more of
basically like War Games.
I think so. I think that's
what I'm thinking. It's like that, right?
That's the sense I get. I'm just trying to think if they're going to throw any kind of twists into it or some kind of to kind of make it different, since NXT has the War Games IP, for lack of a better word.
Of course. Yeah. Right.
But anyway, I think again, ultimately, really,
we'll see next week.
Good, good promos here. I think the build up is fine for where they have it, and I'm just praying that they don't fudge something up next week with this parlay. After all this build up and everything else, so much is riding on it. Let Jericho and MJF do the talking. And
go from there. I'm with you.
Just and
so
don't screw it up. Your job next week, guys, is just to not screw it up. That's it. So the next thing I have is Billy Gunn and QT Marshall. I don't know if you have any of the I have more of the match stuff. I don't necessarily have all of the promo stuff in between.
No, it went to this next. It was good to see Billy Gunn back out there.
It was, and I think it's also good to have QT out there, like, legitimately in the ring more often, because he's been kind of behind the scenes and just sort of doing stuff. So now they're actually giving him an opportunity to be out there and actually wrestling and doing his stuff. And so, I mean, it was what it was. This wasn't a great match. It wasn't a terrible match. It just it was what it was. Helps to tell this story. Dustin got in the mix later into it.
Or that he had an actual
mask, like a
was that
almost like a COVID mask.
I swore he had a little tie, and I'm looking. I'm like, man, that thing is not moving at all.
No, that's paint. That's
paint.
He's went from doing one side this way to doing across this way. So I think that, again, I think it did the job that it was supposed to do. It helped to tell the story. It's continuing the storyline. I'm kind of glad that really, in a way, I mean, this has a chance to be kind of mid-level, but I think that's okay right now, especially. I think they can maybe tighten this up as it moves forward. Get some of these guys established, especially on the factory side, QT's faction, with these young guys. Again, guys like a Go-Go especially, I think, have a lot of promise. And so, but I'm just glad they broke up this Nightmare Family freaking commune that they had building up who knows where in Georgia. I mean, it was just getting too big to follow.
Yes, definitely. So who is the person that's teaming with Dustin next week?
I didn't catch that. Let
Because
me.
I don't know. This just screams the double cross. That guy, he's a young guy.
Oh,
That
what's his
screams the double
name?
cross.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I don't maybe, but isn't it the same guy that they power bombed out onto the stage, like the walkway?
Oh, is it?
I think that's the
Okay.
guy that Komoroto, and I can't remember the gentleman's name.
Yeah, I'm
But
yeah.
I think it's the same. It's the black guy, right?
Yeah, the black guy.
Yeah. So
Oh, speaking of black guys, Klay Thompson. I did not know Klay Thompson went it to All Elite Wrestling. Honestly, I know he hurt his knee. I knew he hurt his knee, but he's bulked up a bit.
He's kayfabe. He's kayfabing in the NBA. Excuse me. So he can come over here and show off some legitimate boxing chops that we had no idea he had. And you know what's even more surprising? I had no idea he was British.
Me either. I did not know Klay Thompson was British, but he is. I mean, he's on AEW every week now. So strange. If y'all don't know what we're talking about, you got to go take a look. What is his real name? Because I keep calling him Klay Thompson.
Anthony Ogogo.
Yes.
Ogogo.
Actually,
It's
to be fair, he looks like a future guy.
He does. Yeah. Absolutely.
Got a lot of, He knows where the camera is. He knows how to pop. Yeah. He's a
legitimate Olympic boxer. So he's got that credibility, that legitimate background credibility that helps. It always helps. Plus, he seems to be a good personality. He seems to have.
He knows how to do it.
Exactly. So I agree. I think he's one of those guys that could definitely be a future star. I think that
like we said earlier, those guys that just pop.
And he's that guy.
You're like, oh, yep.
I think all three of these guys, Solo and Komoroto, just looks like a monster. He just looks like Bruiser Brody reborn. I mean, he's
that guy.
Yeah. And so with the right mix, the right stuff, I mean, he could be one of those guys that's just, and again, he doesn't even have to be that great of a talker or anything else. And
in fact, it would fit his role that he would have a hand with.
Yeah, because he's too much of a monster to I mean, for Rhodes to and hit Komoroto in the head like that, and Komoroto's just like
chair. It wasn't a steel chair. This was like a patio.
Wooden chair. But still.
And I know it sounds like that would. No. I'm saying it sounds like it's a wood chair. A wood chair wouldn't hurt you as bad as a steel chair. I'm not so sure. Like if that was the real steel chair, okay, they are pretty thin. Yes, it hurts. I'm not saying I want to get hit with either of them.
Right.
But I think I would much rather that than the wood chair with the thick slats and kind of tight edges. No. And then the wood itself I don't want to get hit by that. I'll take the steel chair.
But Komoroto, whether it hurt or not,
didn't flinch.
Not one bit.
I mean, he just, what? And the look that Dustin gives is price. I mean, Dustin does a perfect job, but I mean, the dude got hit, and even if it's a balsa wood chair, it's one of those that's, I don't care, it's made of cork.
Yeah, you can't see something like that.
I'm not sure he blinked.
I don't think he did.
Yeah. And to sit there and just look at someone who is swinging something.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. I'll tell you what it was. It was the hair that saved him.
It was. Actually, he didn't know it was coming. It was hair.
Just the hair. He's got that Sideshow Bob mane going, dude. And just a beast of a guy. I think this is, and again, this gives AEW a chance to roll out some fresh young talent.
Yeah,
That each
absolutely.
have their strengths, and I'm really curious to see what they do with Aaron Solo, because I think he's kind of the one question mark for me, I guess, in the sense that I just don't know enough about him.
Sure.
But I think that this is going to really give a chance to help develop another story arc, to really help flesh out. Again, this could be this. I think it's perfectly fine for this to be a mid-level arc within the overall story. You know, the story's going on, and I think it's perfectly fine for it to be there. There's no reason for this to get pushed too hot, too fast. But I think it's a nice, fresh storyline for AEW right now.
Right.
Highlights fresh people. Again, this is just kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, hey, okay, damn, AEW's doing some stuff right.
It's not about any of that stuff.
No,
Yeah.
no, not yet. No reason for it to be, and
it's
so
story.
Yep.
And quite frankly, story is far more important.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Yep. So again, good stuff. Elite. Oh, right.
I was gonna say
this. I tell you, I got. So first of all, what in the hell are the Young Bucks wearing right now? I get it. I get it. They're wanting everybody to hate them. And you know what? Just off those threads alone, Nick Jackson alone, like Matt Jackson can look like a punk just by crossing his eyes. So that's not a problem. But Nick, like you're like, that's some straight up baller swagger to even think about pulling that off. I mean, you just don't care one bit to even think. Like, I just can't even begin to figure out what in the hell's going on with that. I mean, like Kenny Omega, has already established that he has no idea how to dress himself and shouldn't be responsible for it. So, all right, you know what? But it's kind of just become sort of just part of his shtick. So, got it. Okay.
Tops that don't fit.
But this stuff from the like they and we talked about this before. Yeah, whatever kind of conflict the Young Bucks have right now have been resolved.
Yes.
And they are just...
They both feet, hook, line, sinker, whatever you want to go with. They're in. It's just too sweet.
But the other thing here is that this is more just kind of really more of a setup to get them all in the trailer.
Right.
So then you have Moxley and Kingston in the dually, I believe.
Yeah.
Just rolling right through it. Now,
so I got a question for you at this point. So they have that. They're looking out the window. If you didn't see it, they're inside the trailer, and they're cutting promos, and
Kenny's getting ready to talk.
Takes his glasses off. He's going to be real serious, and he says a couple of words, and then you just keep hearing this horn honking. They're like, "Look out the window! Look out the window!" The window that didn't look like a window at all. It just looked like a black board.
Yeah,
I've been in trailers like that. I know it's supposed to be tinted. That was just a blackboard. That wasn't tinted. Yeah, so they're supposed to be looking out of this window and to see what's out there. And of course, then they cut to who's out there is Mox and Kingston and the dually, and they're gonna ram them. So they ram the trailer that they're supposed to be in. What did you think of the fact that they weren't in there? But then they even say, "Oh, they're not in there," and then they just proceed to act like they were supposed to be in there. I don't know, that part seemed
They
odd.
needed to have. Only thing I can think of here is that yeah, obviously they're not going to be in there when the truck hits the trailer. But
Well, I know that and you know that.
I
But
think the only thing I can maybe think of with this is maybe it kind of accounted to timing. And they may not have been able to get the segments because you got to remember that Kenny's also got a storyline going on Rich Swann with TNA right now. So also some of these AEW shows have been pre-recorded.
sure.
Or using pre-recorded segments that even could be mixed in with. So potentially, I'm not saying that's what this is, but potentially what you could be dealing with is a timing issue on getting the elite all together in the trailer, whatever,
Right.
to do their bit, and then to have Moxley and Kingston available to do their piece. Otherwise, I think that it definitely was a miss to not at least have some kind of like seeing them running off in the distance or just something to
Them
show
breaking
them out. So you don't just have this weird cut of, but I will say it actually, I didn't really start to think about that until probably like the day after watching it. Just because every time, especially right now, every time I see Moxley and Kingston together,
Yeah.
I'm just completely distracted with what they're doing and what they're saying because they are just
They're
freaking
so
insane
good.
together.
They're excellent together. Absolutely excellent
And
together.
the
But
way
it was
they
the
they
fact
they
that they are as good as they are together.
yeah.
And I still, at that moment when he comes out, are they in there? I don't know. I don't think they're even in there. Well, they're not even in there. It's like, wait, what now? Who the what? I mean, I know
Where
that
do they go?
people
Like
aren't.
yeah,
But yeah,
like
why would
yeah.
they? Is that the wrong trailer? Are you just running through trailers? Did they fool you guys? Or like, are you all the
No,
idiots?
none of it makes sense because again, with the horn during the elite
Right.
thing, it
Yeah, but were
doesn't.
they just playing them and they were in a different they were in the
No,
trailer that was on the right, and they're gonna come back and go, "Oh, look at these
I
morons.
think it
They
boils.
were honking the horn and ran into the wrong trailer. We fooled you."
No, I don't think it's wrong trailer kind of thing. I think nothing else makes sense other than for that to be the one that they were in. I think storyline wise, obviously they basically were able to book it out of there before, and so even if you think about it, we're looking at we're even looking at it from it'd have been better if they actually kind of had the camera look at it almost from the elite's perspective, looking through the window, seeing the truck lights and kind of did it. But instead we get a side camera view of the truck itself with Mox and
Right.
Eddie, and
Honking the
so
horn for
you get sort of that there is enough opportunity for the elite and Callis to book it out of there before the truck hit. But what I would also say is that for just the continuity of it, it's kind of like the Shaq disappearing in the ambulance thing. It's kind of like, why go there?
Yeah, I
Why
don't know
throw sort of that inexplicable piece? The only thing I can think of again is maybe, I guess I'm trying to give
You're
the
trying
benefit of the doubt here and trying to think there might be more of a production kind of a thing where they had to piece this stuff together and it just, the timing didn't work. Otherwise, yeah, I would say it's just poor writing on AEW's part in this case because they should have done something more along the lines of even if we like you make it look like Mox and Eddie didn't see it, but we as the audience can see them running
Yes.
off.
Yeah, maybe the camera from a higher view where
Or
you
even
see
you
them
just
run out just as it gets hit.
or you just
That
get
type
the
of
view
deal.
of them just kind of just a shot of them run, like they're running and you see them and it's like, damn, we just, barely missed that one. Or what, something along those lines.
Especially because they had a cameraman with them.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh yeah, the cameraman
this is
could
a
have been
perfect
running behind them right while. Yeah,
he
that's
could have
right.
gone,
That's right.
what
That's
was
right.
it, Blair Witch Project? He could have done the Blair Witch Project escape. I mean, this. Oh
That's
no,
right.
we're getting. That's you could have done that whole thing, or they knock him over as he's. So the only guy that gets hit is like the cameraman, stuff
Sure.
like that.
I think,
Yeah,
but I think I kind of like, I was kind of, I agree. I mean, I did catch that it was weird, but
yeah, it was just
then
odd.
it luckily didn't take me out of it enough before I started listening to Mox and Eddie, because they bicker at each other like brothers. It's just
That was the thing. He throws the end when
he throws the thing. Hey, you want to wait for me to get out of the way? I mean, like, just this,
I love you, but
just
yeah,
and you could almost kind of see that that's more off the cuff, kind of just stuff that they can do. It kind of just
you could tell when he threw it that obviously the trailer is not real.
Right.
Because he threw it into a window that just had it come right back out the window. And yeah, it does almost hit him.
It's like, what the hell? You want to wait?
Yeah.
So
you know that was a legitimate. They just have chemistry. It's a good.
Yeah.
They're buddies. You can tell.
Yeah. They know how to. So again, in that way, I kind of just like, I agree. It was weird. I guess just for me, I guess I just didn't care enough about it. Oddly enough, it was like, yeah, this was dumb. That was kind of dumb.
It made it really dumb because the part that made it really dumb to me is because. Okay, you had all this build up and then they just weren't there. I mean,
right. With no kind of sign of anything.
No
kind of real payoff. Yeah. And I think it's just more, but I think it's more also kind of helping to, I think they're kind of not quite spinning the wheels too much. Gripping the Goblin said, "Hey, can you please give my friend a birthday shout out? His name is Nick Air. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. Well, Nick Air, from the Getting Work podcast to you, let me tell you, have an exceptional birthday, buddy. Cheers.
Absolutely. I wish I had more of a drink, but
yeah, I know exactly. I drank too much at the cookout, man. I'm just hitting the water right now. I'm just man.
Come on, old man. Come on now.
I'm also just full. That's my problem too. I ate way too many reps. That's what happened. So
and hopefully Nick's gonna get some drink, depending on the age. I don't know.
Oh yeah, exactly. We don't know how old you are, man.
Whatever drink that of your choice, whether that be Coke or Kool-Aid or
Fanta,
other beverages as Fanta,
whatever,
things mixed with any of those things.
Sure, you never know.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, I think. What I was gonna say was, I think right now they're spinning the wheels a little bit with this, because again, they've got Mox sort of in kind of a weird spot. You never know when he might need to bow out for a while with the baby. Also, you have Kenny Omega. He's kind of busy with this Rich Swann thing. Too, at least at the time that this stuff was being put together. So I think they're trying to figure out something to kind of sort of fill some time, kind of pad this out a little bit, because there's too many other bits and pieces going on. So I think it's fine. Like I said, anytime I can see Moxley and Kingston together, I'm just like, hey, all right, this is good. I don't care what they're doing.
Sure.
They could just be sitting by the fire drinking, I don't know, wild turkey. I don't care. Anytime they're on the screen, I'm in. So
yeah.
The last match, the main event for the night.
Yeah.
And this is another reason why I think they probably should have just had it be the Shida Conti match be the main event, because this wasn't a bad match, but I don't know if it was main event caliber, especially given the level of this week's Dynamite overall. I don't know if this was the right cap to put on the end of it. You know what I mean? It's just to close this off. I don't think this necessarily matched up with everything else they were doing, but overall it was a decent match. Cage, even at his age, I'm a poet and didn't know it, can still go for sure. You could see there was one point there where it was kind of like his legs were kind of shaking on him a little bit on the top rope.
Yeah,
a little bit, and I don't know if that's just again the kind of the ring rust stuff or what, but I mean he's got stick legs anyway, so I don't even know how he can get up there in the first place. He's one of those guys that are just like skinny. Oh yeah, probably. So I wonder if this match seemed to Powerhouse Hobbs looked like a monster in it. I think well enough to really kind of help build him up, because again, I think he's yet another one of those young talents that could potentially grow and develop himself and become someone that could really be a solid future star. I think he's got, again, given his size and everything else, hey.
Right.
I think that I don't know. I'm also worried that that with Cage, I should say Christian Cage. You got Christian Cage. You got Brian Cage. I do worry a little bit about the Christian Cage involvement with Team Taz to an extent, because it's kind of okay. Where's this going? What's happening here? Why? What are we doing with this? I don't know if you have any ideas. I was kind of struggling, other than it's like, okay, Christian comes in, Team Taz comes in, tries to recruit him. Christian says no, and now they got a thing. Yeah. And it's just kind of like, okay, I mean, if you've got nothing else to do, which again, I think I'd be better with if this wasn't the main event.
Well, it wasn't. No. The Christian Cage, it wasn't the main event.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Never mind. Forget everything I said. I got distracted with telling Nick happy birthday. Okay, I feel better now, because I can't believe I forgot about the Darby Jungle Boy match.
Right.
Because that one's fine. So in a way, okay, this is the penultimate match to the end. So, okay, this was a match. Gave Christian a chance to kind of do his thing, but luckily this wasn't the main. Yeah.
So there was the whole kill switch at the end, and it does always look awkward when he does it.
Still a ridiculously awkward move. So awkward. I do not understand how that works as a finisher, really. It's just, especially for him to pull that off on someone as big as Hobbs, too. Just doesn't seem.
Like you would never be able to do that.
No.
On sheer size alone, I'm not sure that his arms bend far enough back for you to actually be able to.
I think you would be hurting yourself as much as anything else to be able to do that. But hey.
Yeah. So it was a match. Things happened. That was it. Jade popped on for her little video package talking about all the managers that wanted to sign her, and Matt Hardy came on and talked about, for a nominal fee, I would love to be able to do it. And Vicky Guerrero She was able to get on there and talk about how she would love to add her to her stable and all that stuff. But Jade says, you just got to make me a big time offer, make it worth my while to sign, blah blah blah. So that was that. Main event: Darby and Jungle Boy. The fans' choice.
Yeah. This one
is this better as a main event? First off,
yeah, I can't believe I forgot about this one. I think this, in a way, this it almost like.
I mean, that's a bad sign. It was forgettable, man.
One, it was because it was a few nights ago. Two, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Three, sure. This, in a way, like they actually packed quite a lot into this.
They did. This was a
show. It was really dense.
Yeah, and there were even moments. This is another example, like you had said earlier, about the face versus face deal. Who was the heel in this match?
There wasn't one.
If you had to pick one, like if you had to pick one of these guys as the bad guy, it was Darby.
It was Darby. Because Darby has more of sort of that extreme kind of style to his wrestling, and
where they even make mention of it during the commentary where he grabs and rakes the eyes, and they were like, "It's not exactly the most sporting of moves, but it's effective." So,
right. I mean, if Hogan can get away raking people down the back, and Stone Cold can do some of his stuff, you can kind of give a little bit of leeway here. But overall,
sure.
One thing I would say about this match too is that, again, it really got to showcase Jungle Boy's talents. And you're talking about, again, someone who is going to be a star. I think especially staying here in AEW where someone his size can shine. It just also really shows how small Darby Allin is, because Jungle Boy's not a big guy.
No,
and Darby is just
looks small to him.
I know.
Yeah, but Jungle Boy was the powerhouse in this match.
Yeah,
that's
saying something. Yeah,
but
damn, Darby can go. Like the way they started off this match, it was more like straight mat wrestling. It built up to the more extreme stuff, but even then, it wasn't insane. It wasn't like a breakneck speed run around the ring and see what hits kind of a match.
Young Bucks are always far faster than anything that was going on in the ring. This was an actual match.
Exactly.
This wasn't a spot match. This wasn't spot. It wasn't that. No, this was a legitimate. It was back and forth. There were like I said, the eye rake and things like that. The weird thing with Sting and the dinosaur on the outside was a little odd, but aside from that,
it was kind of distracting. Probably the only thing I would say too is a bit of a distraction from it, and I guess if anything else, it kind of helped to sort of maybe
to get them out of there.
Exactly. Really, so then you could just have it be a straight up one-on-one kind of thing. But it's also, I mean, it's not like, Darby's gone out without Sting.
Not around while he gets jumped at the end. While Darby gets jumped at the end.
Right.
You have to have Sting out of the picture.
But it's not. But it's not like Darby hasn't wrestled without Sting out there during the beginning of the match anyway. And same thing for Jungle Boy. Like you could see in this situation, especially since you've got at least face value to faces. You wouldn't necessarily think that you would need to have a second, right? So you could have, but you could have had them on standby watching the match and kind of seeing what's going on, and then, maybe come out. Because, again, there's no real reason to expect either Luchasaurus or Sting to come in and interfere kind of, like in a heel way.
They had to be gone.
But if they weren't out there to begin with, you could still you see what I mean? You could, and then you wouldn't need to have the distracting thing there at the kind of, because it really sort of pulled away from the match itself, which it should never do. Not for a match like this, and then have them come out because they'd already be out. So if they didn't even come out to begin with, they could have come in and helped at the end. But I think that, and really, I mean, what it was is, Luchasaurus, again, this is kind of one of those things where it's sort of not quite like to the rules, but Luchasaurus helped Jungle Boy back in the ring kind of thing. And that's what ticked off Sting.
Sting comes over and is like, no.
Yeah. So
and then he put his hand on Sting, and of course, you can't touch people.
Right.
And so that kind of set off the whole deal.
Hey, you don't step on Superman's cape, man. That's all. Again, this is one of those deals, and you don't go messing around with Sting, especially when he's got that baseball bat in his hand. I think that similar to the Conti Shida match, I think overall the match did a really, really good job of making both guys look really, really good. And this is, one of those deals where you can have, you have, Darby obviously was going to win this one. It wasn't, it was more clear cut to me than the way the Shida Conti match was told, the way the story was being told in the ring. I really didn't quite get that same sense that, oh no, Jungle Boy's gonna, really like really pull me into where I'm like, oh yeah, Jungle Boy could win this. Right. They had those moments in there, but it was kind of, I don't know. I just never really got the sense that Jungle Boy was going to take the belt. And especially being the last match, you kind of figure there's going to be some kind of shenanigans. Because, you know.
It had to be. There has to be some build to, yeah.
And then, so Scorpio, so basically, again, I think if you hadn't seen, most of these matches were definitely worth watching. I would say this one, again, I think, is definitely worth watching because Alan and Jungle Boy styles are so close. And they talked about it at the beginning where, Alan hasn't really had someone as quick and agile to go up against recently. And so, a very good blending and meshing of styles here, but just sheer athleticism really helped to, gel and align here. So it goes back and forth, and eventually, what was it? Alan hits Jungle Boy with a coffin drop on the apron.
Yes. Yeah.
That had to hurt somebody.
Yeah. No matter what's going on, as you know, that's the hardest part of the ring.
No, absolutely.
Completely.
But the one good thing about doing on the apron like that and having both guys fall outside is that you don't have to have Jungle Boy kick out of it. Right. So it helps to protect that move. Jungle Boy gets him in the snare trap. Alan's able to get to the ropes. Jungle Boy's able to get him in the surfboard and kind of roll him through it a couple times and then reapplied the snare trap. And then Darby again, kind of it was to break the hold. Again, this is kind of where Darby kind of got a little heelish. He yanked the hair, gouged the eye to break the hold, and then they kind of go back and forth. But then Darby's able to get Jungle Boy into the Last Supper.
Right.
His kind of submission, was it a submission or is it what is it? I'm trying to remember now.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's like a rolling. It's almost like a surprise roll up type of deal, but then he rolls through and sort of sit. Yeah, it's hard to describe. It's one of those things you don't have to see it. Yeah, I was like, I don't know how to say it otherwise.
But the big thing here too is like the match itself. Like I said, I think it did the job that it was supposed to do. It helped to showcase both Jungle Boy and Darby Allin. And I think especially Jungle Boy, since Allin has been, he's the TNT champion. So obviously he's established. He's been going up against guys. But that's what I mean.
But whipped for
exactly.
The entire time.
That's what I mean.
The other guy is just massive, and it's through grit and determination he can kind of pull it out. But
no, they were able to actually really match up on skill set and but so ultimately it did that. Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page come out because why not? Again, not really sure exactly, other than it's kind of helping to establish Sky and Page as heels, especially Sky, who's sort of making that, has definitely made the turn, right? And then, attacking
like I said,
Darby.
Sort of a faction starting with Darby.
Well, kind of in an Archer. It's a weird kind of respectful alliance kind of thing, even if it's loosely associated, Whereas again, then if Brian Cage,
it's more of a tag team than
faction, now. But if you get, say, like a Brian Cage in the mix,
sure.
Because again, he is already talking about how much he respects Sting.
Sure.
Archer.
And at the end of that's how that kind of went.
Yeah, and I think that. Lance Archer's obviously not even so much in words, but at least in action. And after, how Sting kind of basically said, I think it was pretty funny when Sting, I think it was if it wasn't last week, it was the week before, where Sting was having the promo. Of course, you can't just have a promo with an interviewer. Someone's got to come out. Archer comes out, or at least interrupted. Archer comes out, interrupts him, and it's like, I should have the time, I should be in the main spots, and Sting basically takes the mic and it's like, I agree with you, It's like, you should be taking that spot. Jake, tell him how to do this stuff,
Yeah,
I mean,
you're here.
It's like so obvious, but then so Archer's been showing up, kind of helping out, and just sort of, I think what was it one time where he basically is like, he put different people in some moves and just kind of looking at Sting, smiling, just like, all right, you told me to go do this stuff, I'm going to come out here and do this stuff. So I think that, there's at least a loose potential alliance there between Lance Archer and Darby. Right. And again, you never know what might happen there with the Brian Cage thing, with the association with Sting there too, after clearly saying how much he respected Sting. Then you've got Christian Cage going up against Team Taz, sort of in the mix there. So again, you sort of have kind of the enemy of my enemy kind of scenario here, more so than anything else. And so you have an opportunity here to basically just kind of help sort of have this loose kind of ragtag kind of thing. So it'll be curious to see how that goes. I don't know what else to say here. Story beat wise, the only thing I can think of is, you might see probably like short term, probably like a tag team kind of thing between Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, Archer, and Darby Allin. I don't know if that was announced for next week. but that would make sense. Longer term, you could then see Scorpio Sky going up against Darby Allin for the TNT belt. And I think that would be, again, I think you're talking about two guys that can go. Sky, similar to, I would say, a step above Jungle Boy, but very athletic, can move, can go, very good skill set. I think they would match up pretty well. So there's something to say. There's something there's something to write into there. And again, with the Double or Nothing pay-per-view coming in, you can see them. What I'm saying is, like, you can see them do a tag match, say like next week or the week after or whatever it is, but then kind of lead up to maybe a bit more of a one-on-one match for Darby, either between Scorpio Sky or Ethan Page. Or I don't know, maybe Lance gets in the mix and it's like kind of screwballs the whole thing, and then he ends up saying, "I want your belt," and who knows with that. But they gotta do something. They haven't solidified the problem with the TNT belt, with it being being defended every single week. You don't quite have the direct, like, long running storyline necessarily.
No,
not organically. You have to kind of force it a little bit more. So they need to kind of they need to solidify who Darby's going to be wrestling at Double or Nothing. And I think that's really what they're leading to here. So I mean, like I said, all in all, good show. I think AEW, if you keep not perfect, but that's okay. AEW, if you keep pumping out shows like this,
for sure,
you got something, especially as you're leading into different pay-per-views and things, and you've got kind of a quasi pay-per-view in Blood and Guts. You've got some things coming down the road here, and some story arcs that you can actually work off of. Exceptional matches coming off here. Great promos just down the line. All in all, a few hiccups aside.
Yeah.
Just like I said, bravo, guys. Just keep doing this.
Really, I was going to say, definitely it was really good.
More of this. So that's AEW Dynamite, 4/21/21.
Yeah, right.
Luckily, the folks involved didn't partake too much in the 420 festivities, so that they were able to pull off some great stuff. Or you know what? Maybe that's why it works so well.
That's what it was.
You know what? Then whatever it was, keep doing that. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Because if next week can really show this, and then if Blood and Guts can really deliver, and you ride that momentum into Double or Nothing, and then carry that forward to All Out and really start to chain this stuff together, and as you get to where you can start to really open things up and wrestle in front of more live crowds,
for sure,
this is starting to look promising, guys.
Like, okay, this is where we're headed.
This is starting to look good.
No, for sure.
So with that, I'm good. You got anything else to add on to this?
I agree. It was, like I said, excellent show. Good promos. Just don't screw it up next week.
I know.
Jericho, and hopefully hit it out the park in a couple of weeks.
I know. All right. So with that, I think we're going to sign off for the evening because it's late, and
for sure.
I need to sleep off these ribs because
I understand.
I got to do something with this because
ribs sound awesome too.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, it was good. So, and we'll see what we're gonna do this weekend. I don't know what you got going on tomorrow. Then maybe we can something together.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe tomorrow we'll hop on. Either maybe play some. I'm not sure. We'll see what we'll do.
I mean, if anything else, I think we had to build up some momentum on Dark Age. Maybe we can start to do something there too.
Maybe we'll start doing some old, not just leveling to level, but the kind of exploring the areas and some of the old school
really start to really start hitting up some of that stuff. So with that, this is Getting Work signing off. Talk to you folks later.
See you, fam.